Now, who is Poetik Flakko, right? AKA Frederick Jalla. In my eyes, he's just a locale within the hip hop world. In his eyes, he's the greatest hip hop journalist out right now. You know, the voice of the streets. And a lot of people say the number one quality that you want in a locale is delusion. Poetik Flakko is a gossiper. He's tabloid news or whatever in 2026. You know, the pretty much a spawn of Wendy Williams, and he looks exactly how you'd expect him to look. You know, he definitely didn't hit the genetic lottery. Um, Ugly, fat, smelly for whatever reason. You think if you were ugly and fat with a speech impediment, you'd at least have, you know, good hygiene. You wouldn't add fucking smelling to the list, but hey, what can I say? Then you have to also add on to the fact that he's short. So, you know, Jala didn't really have much to do on besides, you know, go on the internet and act a fool. He's currently getting canceled for saying a bunch of anti-black stuff or what people are claiming is out of pocket, anti-black, very, for lack of better words, coon-like comments right now as he's trying to pander to a pro-black audience. But what they don't realize is that that's only the tip of the iceberg. Let's get into the history that Poetik Flakko doesn't want you to know about. So Flakko really reached prominence doing his little fake little DJ Academics impersonation, you know, little DJ Academics bit, and then he made it onto No Jumper. But before all that, he was just some shit poster orbiting the Dr. Umar sphere, whatever you want to call him. You want to call him a Dr. Umar orbiter or whatever dumb shit. So pretty much, and I think calling him an orbiter is a way nicer way to put it than actually what he was doing. Like what he was doing was actually kind of pathetic, but it's it's pretty much what you'd expect from someone like Poetik Flakko. You know, someone whose only talent is yapping and gossiping like a female. You know, having the talent of yapping for someone like Poetik Flakko is pretty bad since he looks like his breath constantly stinks. But nonetheless, in the Dr. Umar sphere, his whole entire thing was uh going at people who were Dr. Umar detractors for whatever reason. And his biggest out was some guy called Lennon Honor, whatever. I don't really know. Apparently, he's a Dr. Umar detractor who would criticize Dr. Umar on hypocrisy, you know, and of course the his school and whatnot, which is kind of funny since uh Poetic Flacco is now not really the biggest Dr. Umar fan, but whatever. I guess back then he was. And a thing he would do is, I guess, pretend to be gay online to lure men or something. And in particular with this Leonard guy, he I guess hired some gay people on Craigslist to frame this guy, this married man, as a gay person. On like, it sounds crazy, but this is what happened. Or, you know, allegedly what happened. I mean, this is really what happened. He did a video accusing this guy Leonard of being cheating on his wife with other men, even though these are like dudes from gay guys from Craigslist that he paid to help frame this. I don't like, again, how terminally online do you have to be to do this type of stuff? Honestly, and God forbid that you actually ruin this man's life because he criticized Dr. Umar online. You know, that's not all that has arisen from this era of Poetic Flacco. Now, I think the most damning thing he that's probably come of this era is a clip. And you know, it's hard to really find much discussion or videos on this subject because they've really been taken down. You know, I believe there was a no jumper stream done on this subject, but it's been taken down. You know, a lot of videos been taken down. So, you know, not many people talk about this. But before, you know, again, in this Dr. Umar era or pre No Jumper era of Poetic Flacco, apparently a woman went This is how bad it got. A woman had to call the FBI because Poetik Flakko was making sexual threats towards her. And we can play the audio of the FBI call.
So, so what is the federal crime we're calling to report to the FBI tonight, ma'am?
Internet threats.
So, you were threatened on the internet by who?
Frederick Jalla, Jallah.
And where did he threaten you at? On what platform?
It's on YouTube.
And what's his YouTube username?
His YouTube name is spelled Poetikflakko.
Okay, so what was the threat he made to you, ma'am?
He says, quote, because I can't punch her in the mouth, I'll probably the bitch and destroy her insides, and I'll up the bitch's life.
All right, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Trippy Playboy here.
I can't punch her, so I'm going to F her and ruin her insides, is what he said. Now, again, this is, in my opinion, like, this is probably what you expect from someone who looks like Frederick Jalla. Like, this is a person who, he's just not a good person. He lives a very pathetic existence in life, so it doesn't really surprise you when he does stuff like this. But nonetheless, this is something that I feel like he hasn't really answered for. In the stream where they did a no jumper to really address this, well, it's nowhere to be found. It had ended abruptly and it got taken down. I wonder why. It looks pretty suspicious to me, but hey, it I don't know if the pro black community, the Poetik Flakko is trying to appeal to, will ever uncover all of this and really question him about any of this ever in the future if he continues to dabble in that community. But who knows? Because it seems to like that's the only community that Jala really cares about. So this next controversy involving Poetik Flakko, in my opinion, is probably the worst of them all. One that I think he still to this day needs to answer for. I mean, I think he's addressed it on No Jumper, but not successfully. Like, not in the way I think that is really appeasing to anyone. So after the whole Dr. Umar whatever orbiting just nonsense, he does his little fake DJ Academics bit, getting close with uh DJ Academics audience, he likes to call them the chat niggas. Very stupid, corny name in 2026, but I don't know, maybe back then it was fire. So he gets cool with the chat niggas. He's successfully or moderately successfully does his fake academics bit. Academics isn't really doing the YouTube videos anymore. He's more live stream. Not really, I guess, into the Warren Chirac thing. So Poetik Flacco decided to, I guess, take the lane or whatever. He saw that lane was empty. He decided to fill it along with a bunch of other people. So do that, Poetik Flacco gets cool with the no jumper people and starts leeching off of them. So now he has two of the biggest audiences, communities within hip hop that he's siphoning energy off of. DJ Academics at the time is trying to build his own little no jumper universe called the Academy. Unfortunately, that shit never took off. Cause the nigga's just not good at getting talent. He wants to sit there and convince the world that he's such this big influence in hip hop and that he can make or break these artists like Meek Mill, even though Meek Mill was already kind of falling off, but whatever. But somehow he couldn't find any talent. He tried to sign an artist that didn't go anywhere. His label didn't go anywhere. So, and he couldn't even build him like his own little no jumper community. The Academy really failed because he spent like a lot of money to sign Tory Lanez to his academy, whatever nonsense. But then uh, Tory Lanez, or not Tory Lanez, why the fuck did I say Troy Ave ended up going to prison. So yeah, I don't know why he would waste his money on that, but it is what it is. That's a real good investment, real smart investment, spending money on someone who's about to go to prison. But yeah, so that takes one of his main talents away. And then another talent he was really banking on was a guy named Lil Boom. But unfortunately for him, Lil Boom would end up getting exposed by another YouTuber by the name of I don't even remember his name. I don't even know if he's really that popular. 1097 Jake, I believe. He was popular at the time. I don't know if I haven't watched a 1090 whatever Jake video in a minute, but uh he ended up getting exposed or whatever for like being a weirdo touching on minors in a Walmart or whatever. Now, Poetic Flakko, being the biggest DJ Academics dick rider and wanting to stake, being a chat nigga, as what his community is called, for whatever reason, came up to bat to defend this guy who is being accused of battery among a minor. You know, he's being accused of SA towards a minor. Poetic Flacco would, go on to do videos, even the stream that, guess what, isn't around anymore. You can't find all this stuff that about Poetic Flacco in his past and all the bad stuff he's done somehow are gone. You can't find the live stream he did with, or maybe you can, and I don't know. I haven't been able to find it, but I believe it's no longer on his channel. The live stream you can't find the live stream when he's addressing the woman calling the FBI on him. A lot of this stuff is weirdly enough white. I wonder why. He does a live stream with Lil Boom where he doesn't really ask him, he doesn't really press him or whatever. He even at one point he posts on his socials that there is some video that vindicates Lil Boom. Now where this video's at, to this day we don't know. But it would look worse for Poetic Flacco when a video of Lil Boom clearly touching on a minor, following a minor in a Walmart, will leak. So now you look, first of all, you already look bad for defending this individual, but now you look worse because you said that there was a video exonerating him, and then there's a video that drops proving that this man is a weirdo. Now you would think Poetic Flacco would apologize, distance himself from Lil Boom, and just take the L. But, that's not how his mind really works. He goes on No Jumper, does a stream, and pretty much everyone at No Jumper at the moment, or who is present, pretty much dogpiles Poetic Flacco for defending this individual because he's a creep. But Flacco's response is to, I guess, as best as he can, stutter his way and try to defend himself or his actions instead of just taking the L. At one point, you get Poetic Flacco even still kind of defending Lil Boom, saying the debate now is whether or not he touched her butt. Which, honestly, someone, you got to sit there and wonder what's wrong with this man's brain. What difference does it make whether or not who in the world is about to sit here and debate whether or not he touched her butt or maybe her lower back or upper back or shoulders or maybe just her thighs, or who's having this discussion like it matters? He will go on to make a video on his main channel or whatever, pretty much announcing that he was wrong about the whole entire situation, but funnily enough, not really addressing what matters. Like, he picks and chooses which parts of this arc, this saga that he wants to address. He never addresses the fact that he said that there was a video that would exonerate Lil Boom out there. The reality of kind of what happened is that he's in with DJ Academics. So naturally, you want to defend, it's in his mind, it's in his best interest to defend Academics' protege. Because Academics is building this academy thing that is going to grow, in his mind, going to go on to be this huge hip hop network. Okay, now you're in with two of the biggest hip hop networks in the world. You got the Academy, No Jumper. These are on par with organizations like Complex in his mind. So now you don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about clout. You don't have to worry about trying to get views and the reality is that's all that matters to Flacco. You sit there and might want to think that this matters to him, journalism matters to him, black people matter to him. None of that matters to him. And that's going to be really clear as we continue to go through this video. Flacco is by all means a grifter. He might want to deny it, but when you sit there and wonder, like, well, Flacco says this, but then the next day he'll say that he'll make a video about how uh covering the Diddy trial. He'd be like, one day he'll be like, Diddy's cooked. Then he'll be like, oh, the Diddy victims are cooked. Like, he'll just, whatever he thinks is going to get views or whatever narrative he finds interesting that day is what he's going to put out. There's no real beliefs there. One minute Flacco might be sounding anti-black as hell. The next minute he'll sit there and sound pro-black. It just whatever, he just doing whatever on the internet, saying whatever. He has no real beliefs. He's here to be an agitator, or he just here to give out hot takes. We're in the hot takes era, so he's here to give out whatever is going to, in his mind, make a good video, or whatever narrative he finds interesting. If he comes up with a narrative in his mind, he's just going to keep going with it. I sit there and say all that just to say that this move he made had nothing to do with right or wrong. It was just him trying to stand by the chat niggas. And he more or less says so in his video response, saying, hey, he's a chat nigga. As corny as that sounds. But again, when it comes to when we're talking about essay, especially with a minor, you can't do this. Like, you have to have some type of moral compass. Like, I'm not the one to sit here and go in there on the internet and start finger wagging at people. Like, to me, that's just corny. But when it gets to this level where we're talking about SA, and then you include a minor with that situation, like this dude's walking around touching people, or was accused. I mean, not accused anymore. Like, we had the video, but at the time when Flacco was defending him, he was accused of doing this type of battery on a minor, walking around Walmart touching minors. Like, that's a serious offense that needs to be taken seriously. Like, you can't just sit there. I understand, like, you don't want to sit there and immediately condemn someone because these are serious charges, but also you shouldn't sit there and defend them, especially claiming that there's something out there that exonerates them that just didn't exist. It really goes to show you Flacco's moral compass, and it doesn't really exist. And it gets worse because Flacco is one of those people who does get on the internet and finger wag at people. He'll finger wag at people for the stupidest of reasons. Recently he did a video on a hip hop twins, hip hop brothers known as the Malari Bros, famous for doing hip hop album reactions and whatnot. I think now they have a podcast and whatever where they give out takes and whatnot. One of their takes that Flacco took real offense towards was a take that Drake wasn't really for the black community because he keeps pushing Sexy Red. That was more or less their take. They got some pushback from, or some people just didn't really like the tape, I guess, within their community or maybe another community that saw the video and it kind of, went a little bit popping on Twitter. I'm not 100% sure where these people who got offended by this take came from, but Flacco found the the video, saw people they were getting some pushback from it, and made a video where, not just really criticizing their take, but calling their take evil. Then they're saying their take was evil because they dared to criticize who Drake hangs around. It was like, I don't even the commenters. If you search up that video, I believe it's a video. I'll just play some clips. It's a video about DJ Academics, because DJ Academics, of course, biggest Drake glazer ever, had to come in and defend Drake's honor, because how dare they question his friendship with Sexy Red. So Flakko decided to make a video on this situation where he spends the whole entire video calling them pretty much evil and saying that as a first impression of them, that he can't really vibe with their content. He can't really mess with their content like that because of what they dared to say about Drake and Sexy Red's relationship. Even his comment section called him out for how stupid the video. Like, the take definitely wasn't evil. It was a mild take, which I'm sure a lot of people, including me, would agree with. Like, yes, if you're for black people or pro black people, you probably shouldn't push a CIA asset or whatever, whose whole entire stick is to push degeneracy within the black community. Flakko will go on to get dogpiled at No Jumper for this, especially since No Jumper was kind of beefing with DJ Academics at this time, so they definitely had no problem taking the moral high ground on this issue. Which, hey, they should have. Flakko should have got all the shit in the world for this, and especially the way he continued to handle the situation. And also, I believe it was 1097 Jake, like I said, who broke this entire story with or whatnot. And Flakko didn't really have. I don't think at the time he really liked 1097 Jake, because he was looking into Flakko. Because a lot of people were saying Flakko had a weird case. And why were people saying this? Well, because Flacco's a liar. Flacco Flacco got exposed on No Jumper for lying about, the most mundane thing ever, where he's from. Flacco claims to be from North Dakota, when in reality he's more than likely from the suburbs of Philadelphia. Now, who really cares? Why is that such a big deal? Well, it's a big deal because it's not a big deal. Like, most people are going to sit there and think, hey, why are you lying about where you're from? Who would really lie about that? Who sits there and is from Philly and lies about being from Philly and saying they're from North Dakota? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. It's like one thing if I sit there and lie like, oh, I'm from Cali, to maybe look cool, but really I'm just from somewhere that no one really cares about. It's one thing to do that, but to say you're from North Dakota when you're really from Philly doesn't really make any sense. So people do their research, they find paperwork on another person with Poetik Flakko's last name, and they start kind of putting two and two together, saying he has a weird case. Now, it turns out he doesn't have a weird case. That the one with the weird case is more so his brother or stepbrother or whatever, but Flacco doesn't have a weird case. But nonetheless, the reason why people went there is because it's confusing to people why he would lie about such a nonsensical thing to lie about. To this day, we don't even know still why he would lie about where he's from. It could just be a simple case. I think the most logical answer is simply not wanting to dox himself. Maybe because Flacco, whether or not he wants to address it or admit it, he has kind of a checker past. Like, just his internet footprint alone is kind of wild as we've gone through. So who knows what type of stuff people would find or look up with, or who knows, he maybe some of the enemies he made might track down some people he knew from the past, siblings, family members. Who knows? So maybe it's just easier for him to lie and say he's from North Dakota. Now let us get to modern day. I went through all that just so I can build this case that Flacco 100% is a grifter. So if you don't know, Flacco right now, he or has been having this kind of resurgence, getting a lot of subscribers, doing some really popular streams or whatnot, very successful streams, and it's all based on this new pro-black image that he's trying to portray of himself or whatnot. Poetic Flakko did some content. He did some videos regarding the whole Chud the what's that nigga's name? Chud the Builder, like Bob the Builder, Chud the Builder, I think his name was. If you don't know, Chud the Builder is like some racist guy who would go around provoking black people for content or whatnot, and he ended up going to jail. And Flacco would make videos on this guy, even though he used to collaborate with him. But again, it's Flacco, he does what he does. So he started making videos on him. Those videos got a lot of attention, calling out Chud the Builder, pushing certain talking points and whatnot. So he peeps this, right? Flacco peeps this, and he decides to run with this new little image he has for himself because it's popping, and he carries the torch on to the next thing he milks, because Flacco, he milks stuff. The Diddy trial, the any other trial, and whatever is content. He likes to find certain things, and if it works, he's going to milk it to hell. So he milked the Chud Builder thing. Now the Nolan Wells things happens. So now it's a whole nother situation to milk, and he milked it. And throughout the milking of these two situations, he's built this audience of pro-black people. He was able to break into the pro-black sphere or whatever, gaining some more fans. A lot of them who didn't know what Poetic Flacco was about. Naturally, Poetic Flacco is pretty much Point and Shoot's personal locale. Like, this nigga has milked Poetic Flacco for everything. Built up a channel pretty much milking Poetic Flacco and the entire No Jumper universe. I like to watch Point and Shoot, I ain't gonna lie. It's how I know so much about Poetic Flacco and why I was kind of amazed watching his content. I watched him sit there and say that his whole entire mission was to go again to call out white supremacy and whatnot. It just kind of made me laugh when you sit there and know what you know about Poetic Flacco. But nonetheless, Point and Shoot did a video pretty much calling out the hypocrisy of Poetic Flacco. Like, dang, how you go from saying all this anti-black stuff, being MAGA, now you're pro-black, you hate MAGA, you're kind of doing this liberal kind of thing, this liberal pivot. And the video, of course, it did what it did. It got a lot of views. So Flacco addresses it by not addressing it. He indirectly addresses it, sub dissing Point and Shoot, pretty much saying, hey, if you want to beef with me, you should have did that 4 months ago. Pretty much, there's no hit piece that y'all can make on me that can do anything to me. That nigga was wrong, okay? Like, first of all, y'all niggas are never untouchable. Like, the only reason why Flacco got away with so much is because no one knew or cared about him. No one knew who Flacco is. To this day, people still don't really know who Flacco is. He's a YouTuber. He's a French YouTuber within the hip hop community, now trying to get into the pro black sphere. Like, you're not popular. You're successful on YouTube and you make money off of it. Good shit. You're not like a popular person. And even if people knew who you are, the people who know you who you are don't really take you seriously. They look at you like that fat, smelly, short, can barely speak dude. They don't really take you seriously. No one's going to sit there and get mad at a Poetic Flacco opinion, to be honest. Not for too long. So that's why he's able to get away with a lot of the stuff he gets away with. But he made the mistake of going into the pro-black sphere thinking that they weren't going to call him out for uh his anti-black past and some of the stuff that he was saying not even that long ago, a year ago. Again, if you don't know, Poetic Flacco, he kind of had this Uncle Ruckus bit. He would say stuff like, when I first heard of Poetic Flacco, he was at No Jumper. sitting there and getting into fights with some of his co-hosts who were gangbangers because he wished death on gangbangers, which I don't really. I wouldn't wish death on gangbangers. I wouldn't wish death on anyone, but fine. I can maybe understand it. Like they cause a lot of destruction within our community, so maybe you can reach and sit there and say that's kind of pro black, I guess. Extremist pro black, but pro black nonetheless, I suppose. Like I wouldn't. That's not what I would wish for. I would wish for peace and understanding within the black community, but I wish for growth and that we realize how silly all this is. But a lot of that stuff is too far gone, anyways. It is what it is. Like some of this, the beefs are like way too deep, but he went even further, wishing death on Future. Hey, you know what? I get it. Like, Future promotes degeneracy within the black community. I love Future. That's my favorite rapper, but he promotes degeneracy from in the black community. From a pro black perspective, yeah, that's maybe not the best thing ever. I mean, I wouldn't wish death on him because he raps about drugs and expresses his First Amendment in songs. It's not like Future's a gangbanger. I mean, he does do a lot of street rap where he in here and does rap about putting hits, I think, on certain people. But hey, I'm not sure if Future's known to participate in that stuff in real life though. So I don't know why you wish death on Future. And this is the guy who got so mad at the Malari Bros because they did question Drake's relationship with Sexy Red. But meanwhile, you was wishing death on Future. Like, what? They're both pushing degeneracy within the black community. You could maybe argue that Sexy Red's even worse because most people sit there. I don't know. I never done. Future's my favorite rapper. I never sit there and like, oh wow, drugs are so cool. I just kind of always, no matter what, look at that as loser shit. But I think a lot of Sexy Red fans really think she's cool, and what she does is cool. But hey, whatever. You can argue which one's worse or whatever. Maybe you have a good argument for why Future's worse. I mean, hey, he does push a lot of degeneracy too. He does push that kind of I won't say polygamous, but very very male slut kind of, not even kind of, like definitely male slut kind of very hedonistic kind of lifestyle. But hey, it's they're both pushing degeneracy. What can I? They're both pushing hedonism. So I don't know how Flacco is going to get mad at the Malari Bros for questioning Drake's relationship with Sexy Red when he wished worth on Future for pretty much doing all the same stuff, for pretty much both being a net negative on the black community. Again, this is why I'm sitting there saying, like, he has no real beliefs. Again, he's claiming to be pro-black. This is something that the pro-black people called him out. He's still claiming to be pro-black, but he's still good friends with Anna. The point and shoot video made its way to the pro-black community, and they were watching this like, huh. Now they're starting to make videos calling out Poetik Flakko, like, hey, what's up with this? Like, this you big dog? Now, Poetik Flakko didn't care to address point and shoot. Point and shoot makes live videos on Flacco that gets views that criticize him. A lot of the criticism is pretty fair, but he ignores it because he doesn't want that smoke with point and shoot. But since it made its way to the pro-black community and some of the pro-black people, maybe some that Flacco was even watching, now they're starting to call him out, and a lot of his audience that newly subscribed to him off of this pro-black grift are now seeing this. So now Flacco's like, he makes the dumb decision. Okay, now I have to address it because this pro-black YouTuber made the video. This one, this. So now I have to address this. You have this smaller YouTuber and then a bigger YouTuber who has like 100K views is now making a video. So now I'm gonna have to address it. He makes a video on his personal channel, pretty much calling himself a coon of the day for his past comments and apologizing for them. Now he apologizes for like some of his past comments, but he doesn't really understand why people are mad. Like he spends the entire video apologizing for being conservative. Like the issue was that he's conservative. No, the issue is you're anti-black, nigga. No one's in here is cares that you thought that you believed in trickle down economics. Nigga, what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with being pro black? What does you believing in pick yourself up by the bootstraps or whatever have? That's not even inherently anti black. Like picking yourself up by the bootstraps or whatever is pretty much just getting out the mud. Like yes, it's the same thing a lot of rappers rap about, getting out the mud. It's not like a bad thing. Sitting there and encouraging someone to get it themselves isn't pro black, you know, or isn't anti black. I would sit there and say it's a better mindset than sitting there waiting for someone else to pull you up, especially if you're waiting for a white man to do it. Like, aren't you pro black? So again, why? So Flacco kind of missed the point of why the pro black sphere is mad at him. Like they really care. And a lot of them don't believe that being MAGA or even conservative is inherently pro-black. A lot of them probably believed is inherently anti-black, but that wasn't their issue with him. The issue was some of the horrible comments that you were making, and a lot of the horrible. You were sitting there doing debates with Nick Fuentes. You were sitting there doing a debate. Didn't they had another, I can't remember his name, another white supremacist or white nationalist who went down there at No Jumper. It caused a big stir because some of the, I think people like AD, some of them had a huge issue with that person coming down there and whatnot. So, and Flacco wasn't one of them though. Flacco has no issue with these people coming down there. Uh, Flacco had no issues with a white woman saying the N word in front of him. Flacco had his attitude when they talked about reparations was like, "Hey, I'm not finna get any bread anyway, so it doesn't matter to me they whether or not reparations get passed or whatnot." Which is kind of his mindset. You'll sit there and figure that out. That's his mindset. His mindset is, how does things benefit me? You know, I'm not getting any bread, so I don't care if niggas get reparations or whatnot. Again, he's the big grifter. The video didn't do what Flacco needed it to do. So Flacco will go on to make an even dumber decision and go on to debate one of these YouTubers. Now, the YouTuber he ended up debating with was a YouTuber by the name of Jew Almighty. Jew Almighty would press him on a lot of different issues, his anti-black remarks, cause in interviewing people like Nick Fuentes and whatnot, while right now trying to pretend like his number one ops are white supremacists or whatnot. So Jew Almighty, I think a good thing he did in this interview, I guess, was hold him to the fire, not let him sit there and make this argument of acting like the issue is the fact that he has conservative beliefs. You know, I have conservative beliefs. I also have some liberal beliefs, but I have a lot of conservative beliefs. I'm not anti-black. I want to see the best for the black community. You know, I disagree with some of these pro-black people who are coming at Flacco when they sit there and say being conservative or whatever is inherently anti-black. I think being liberal is. I don't think being liberal is pro-black. I don't think being conservative or liberal is inherently pro-black. I don't think it's inherently anti-black. I do think there's some anti-black people on the liberal side, and I think there's a lot of anti-black people, obviously, on the conservative side. I don't think that having conservative beliefs are inherently anti-black. Just because there's a lot of white supremacists or whatnot on the conservative side doesn't mean the entire conservative ideology is inherently anti-black. I think there's a lot of things that are when it comes to liberals in modern 2026 that are inadvertently anti-black, whether or not that's where they're going to or whatever. That's not what I'm trying to get into. My issue is that the discussion shouldn't be on his political affiliation or whatnot. It should be about the anti-black comments he's made in the past and his hypocrisy. So he calls him out on this. Now Flacco's a lot of his excuses that he like made, like for example, why he sat there and sat down with Nick Fuentes or whatever, was that hey, I didn't press Nick Fuentes like how I should have because I just didn't know how exactly racist he was. Like that's literally his defense. I kid you not. Now, me, someone I didn't really know who Nick Fuentes was either until like I same as Falco until I saw him on that stream with Abern Preach, Gideon, and Destiny or whatever, right? That's when I really sat there and actually watched the video. I knew who Nick Fuentes was. I knew him as a white nationalist, like that's about it I've known of him. But I didn't know anything about Nick Fuentes. Like I know the name and that it's usually attached to racism. So how Flacco can sit there and pretend like, oh, Nick Fuentes tricked me. He lied to my face and tried to act like he wasn't as racist as he was when Nick Fuentes didn't at all try to hide his racism. That was the era when he was saying they're going when he was hanging out with Sneeko, pretty much saying that he didn't believe in mixed racing. He didn't believe in white people being with black people or whatnot. So this idea that Flacco didn't understand how racist Nick Fuentes was is to me nonsensical. He was known as a white nationalist. And it would be like less insulting if Flacco would just like admit, like, yeah, at the time I didn't really take none of this serious. I didn't see any problems with sitting down with a white nationalist or whenever and having the discussion, open mindedly and calmly. Also, by the way, I did what Flacco probably doesn't want you to do. I actually went and watched the No Jumper uh interview with Nick Fuentes with, Adam 22 AD, Poetik Flakko, and Sneeko. Uh, Flacco is full of shit. Like honestly, like his excuses, and this is why I can't really just take Flacco serious and what he talks about, and this is why he probably only want to go and debate someone like Jew Almighty. I believe that's his name. Yeah, Jew Almighty, or some people who don't understand the Flacco lore. He'll never debate someone like Point and Shoot who knows everything about Flacco, because if you actually watch this interview, what Flacco is saying is stupid and completely a lie. In the beginning of the interview, the reason why Flacco is in there saying, "Oh, Nick Fuentes tricked us. He hit his power level." No, he didn't. At the very beginning of the interview, Adam 22 calls him out for sugarcoating his beliefs because Nick Fuentes pretty much wouldn't admit that he's a white supremacist or that he doesn't identify as a white supremacist. So how is it that he tricked y'all when y'all called him out for it? Y'all knew exactly what his beliefs were. And also in the interview, he doesn't really hide his beliefs. All he does is say, I'm not he all he does is not really identify with being a white supremacist. That's about it. Flacco is making this excuse that he's holding his real beliefs back because he identified as a race realist, which he defines as pretty much only acknowledging that race exists. That it's a genetic fact within the human race. But he also goes on later in the interview to also sit there and argue that black people are more violent or that white people and Asians have higher IQ. So he's not really hiding his political. The one of the biggest clips from that interview is AD arguing with Nick Fuentes that black people aren't more violent than white people. And it's crazy because in the clip, Flacco kind of agrees with him. Nick Fuentes that statistically black people are more violent than white people, and it is what it is. I mean, statistics are statistics, bro. I mean, you can try to flip it any way you want. I'm not really mad at Flacco, but don't because now you're trying to get in with the pro-black people, sit there and act like you didn't have these beliefs, or I guess now suddenly you don't care about uh whatever these statistics were that you were pointing out with Nick Fuentes. Me personally, I don't sit there and have a problem calling out stuff that happens in the black community because I'm pro-black, which means that I care about the kids and the innocent people. The majority of people within the black community are innocent. they're victims of these crimes and violence that goes on in the black community. Whether or not you want to sit there and say, this violence or whatever your criminality is a result of a wealth disparage, but he's getting in with a community who doesn't want to hear any of that. They sit there call it coon behavior to even point that type of stuff out. So now this is how he wants to act. But let's not act like within this interview you weren't agreeing with Nick Fuentes on a lot of stuff, or like you weren't openly frank. Like you AD was in the interview. He was way more hostile. Like he wasn't like, again, he wasn't, he could AD conducted himself professionally, but he was very antagonistic towards Nick Fuentes, which is what you'd expect from someone who is pro-black when you're sitting across from a white nationalist. Again, Nick Fuentes, just because he didn't openly be like, "Oh, I'm racist, I'm white suprem or I'm a white supremacist or whatever," and Flacco asked him straight up, "Are you a white supremacist?" Nick Fuentes is like, no, I'm not a white supremacist. Like you said, Flacco defined white supremacy as a person who feels white people are superior. And Nick Fuentes was like, nah, I don't believe that. So that's why Flacco sits there and thinks that Nick Fuentes was hiding his power level. But just because he doesn't identify that way, like there's a lot of communists out right now who aren't going to openly say they're communists because it's not a popular thing to say. If you're sitting here as someone who is trying to get political power, yeah, you're not going to come out and openly say you're a white supremacist, or you might not even come out and say you're a white nationalist or whatever. But none of that really changes all this stuff that Nick Fuentes said in this interview. That Flacco didn't even really, they even at some point, I think Adam 22 called out Nick Fuentes more than Poetik Flakko did, which is crazy. Poetik Flakko, at some point, Adam 22 called out Poetik Flakko for pretty much regurgitating Nick Fuentes' points. That's how bad it got. So for Poetik Flacco to sit here, I think at some point he sit there and call white liberals the devils, which I like. I'm not a fan of white liberals. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I'm just not. I don't like white liberals. I think a lot of them are fake. I think there's a lot of people who like to be liberals, especially white people, mainly white people who like to be white liberals because they feel like it makes them a good person. When a person gets called a white person gets called out on racism or whatever, the first thing they always say is, "Oh, I vote Democrat," like that means anything. I think being a liberal for a lot of these people is just a shield, because why? Because I guess being a liberal makes you a good person or something. Voting Democrat makes you a good person, or it makes you incapable of racism or something. Dumb as hell. But so I'm not mad at what Flacco said. White liberals are the devil or something. But he's clearly saying that to pander to Nick Fuentes, and they even called him out for that. Sneeko and Adam 22 called him out for that. So to sit here and act like he is completely ignorant to Nick Fuentes, stop it. No one will watch that interview and come to that conclusion. Another part I really didn't like, and this is going back to him the blaming the Hades gang on being a conservative, is when he sits there and says that he has his conservative beliefs because he was born in he lived in North Dakota, which again is like, bro, you went to school and lived in Philly, gang. Like, again, I don't remember what part of Philly he lived in. Like, I think Pennsylvania is like a swing state or whatever. So, but like, and he sit there and blamed his dad. Like, that has to be the most disgusting thing ever. Like, oh, my dad was conservative, so we have arguments nowadays. Like, I don't really. And then I love Jew asked a great question. Like, he asked Flacco, would he consider his dad anti-black? And you can sit there and see the gears in Flacco's brain turning. Like, damn, do I just completely throw my dad under the bus and call him anti-black and pretty much call him racist? Or do I just take the L on this one? So Falco's like, I don't really, I wouldn't say he's anti-black. I never heard nothing to make me think he's anti-black. I never heard no racist stuff come from him. And also he lives in another continent or whatever, so he probably doesn't really care about what's going on here, even though he's a Donald Trump supporter. Like this nigga Flacco just says shit. My favorite part though has to be when Jew presses him on saying something, a comment saying something about like the good white man or whatever. I guess like an Uncle Ruckus kind of quote or whatnot. I think it was obvious that Flacco was just kind of being, he was just joking around, but his response to me and how Jew just got him so nervous was funny to me. Fargo sat there and stuttered, saying the same thing, repeating like the same thing like 5 times when Jew brought up Flacco saying, "Oh, the good white man" or whatnot. Nigga Flacco like, yeah, right, right. You see, it was tongue in cheek. You feel me? You feel right? You feel it was, I was being, you know what I'm saying? It was just the tongue in cheek kind of, you feel me? Like, bro, we get it. You were being tongue in cheek.
When it comes to being black and proud
Yeah.
and loving blackness and being pro-black, it is
Yeah.
the appreciation of everything that makes us us.
Sure.
So when you're on these videos and discussing white people the way that you do, it is harmful to black people in general. When you're saying stuff like this comment, because it's basically taken directly off the video, that good white skin, that good white man, white beautiful face, white skin, be proud, and talking about, yeah, this good white man going to give us money, you willing to sell your soul to white people. Again, it puts back in context of the grifter label, because how can anybody believe anything that you say being genuine if this is how you look at white people, who not all white people are bad, but when we're discussing white supremacy, it's white people.
Yeah. Like here, Russell, look, and to be fair though, like if like you like watch my live streams, right? Even like before the situation, like things like the good white man and God bless the white man, right? Like again, like those are things that like I kind of use like tongue in cheek. So like again, is you feel me? Like and it's like hard for me to like distinguish between like, for example, right? Like there's like 1,000 clips, right, of me saying, yo, like good white man, right? Those are things that I say in tongue in cheek, right? Like, right, and like I've said those things like on my live stream, like as recent I think as this week, right? Again, in like a tongue in cheek, right? Like and like, you know, in like a tongue in cheek, you know, like joke like sounds bad, right? But like, yeah, right? Like, you feel me? Like, God bless the white man, right? You feel me? Right? Again, like I've said those things in my videos.
Directly.
Yeah, see, Jew's a way better man than me, cause nigga, I would have been laughing in this nigga's face. If you don't spit your words out, Porky Pig, the fact that this bumbling fool thinks he's some type of thought leader or thinks that he can do anything with white supremacy or anything is amazing to me. That's how you know, like, this is how you know this is a grip. There's no way a man like Flacco thinks he could sit there and do anything for black people. Like, he could ever make the world a better place for just off of his speech and yapping online. Like, nigga, you're not good at what you do. You're good because you're good. You work as a gossiper because you have female qualities and you like to yap and gossip about stuff that don't really matter. But then once it gets to stuff that does matter, nigga, no one's trying to hear that shit. You're good for like if I'm trying to keep up with some stupid celebrity gossip, some Tasha K ass shit. Then you're good to go to, cause nigga, there's no talent required in that. There's no intellect required in that. So you're good on that. You know, all you gotta do is keep me up to date. Wendy Williams, keep me up to date with the celebrity tea and other stupid shit that, you know, females might care about. But when it comes to actual intellectual discussions, like about society and whatnot, bro, you're out of your league. You can sit there and go to the Nick Fuentes interview. Bro was way out of his league. He even admit that he was out of his league. You go to the comments, everyone's like, bro, these are not the people to be having this discussion with Nick Fuentes. You sit there and borrow one of the most controversial white nationalist individuals and fumble the discussion and let him walk all over you. But now you want to sit here and act like in 2026 it'll be a whole different discussion. Nigga, you get walked on, you get dog walked again. You can't even speak. Like, again, this is what happens when you sit there and try to play the moral authority on the internet. Because now you have to answer to some of the stupidest shit ever. It really shouldn't even be that big of a deal. Probably, I don't know. Yeah, again, like I don't. You could have just said like, "Hey, I was trying to be funny. I was making jokes. I was trying to reference the Boondocks and whatnot." I don't like. I'm not really someone who be sucking off the white man's dick like that. I mean, and it's not that big of a deal, but I guess once you put it in context with everything else that Flacco says, yeah, maybe it is kind of weird. This pivot Flacco tried to do, did it backfire on him? Yeah, it definitely did backfire on him. So, because now you have probably a lot of more people digging into your history, like we're doing right now, and you're just not a good person. But at the more importantly, I guess for this video, you're a grifter. Do I can anyone argue that he's not a grifter? He goes wherever the money goes. I sit there and watch him in real time pivot, do this pivot. It has nothing to do with like his beliefs or doing what he feels is right. He's going where the money is. And you can't argue that Flacco's not a grifter. This is an individual who sit there and sold a book or whatever to his fans to help them be successful at YouTuber, and he's selling them courses like currently. Like he's not advertising it as much anymore, but it's still in his bio. I think last time I checked, there was like 22 people or whatnot getting charged $100 a month to, I don't know, give out information that you could get from any other YouTube video. And you know, the most interesting thing about Flacco's advice for YouTube, one of the biggest advice on YouTuber is finding a sector within the YouTube, you know, finding a community within the YouTube world. You know, you got to find your own little space, your own little niche, and connect with those people, those creators, and whatnot. And that's really funny because that's all Flacco's ever done on YouTube. That's how he's reached success. You know, first he latched on to Dr. Umar, then DJ Academics, No Jumper. Now he's trying to latch on to the pro black sphere. This is what he does. Like nigga, it has nothing to do with his beliefs or whatnot. Like he had an epiphany one day. You know, he saw races get positions, you know, people he felt are racist or white supremacists or whatnot get spots within the administration or whatever dumb shit. Nigga, that's you've never cared about that in the past. Now all of a sudden you see it and it's a problem for you. Who's going to believe that? Nigga sit there and saw people getting deported and was like, oh my god. Come on, bro. Like, stop that nonsense. You're only fooling it, idiot. No one else in this world actually believes that type of shit. But nonetheless, hey, if it's making money, you're sitting here getting 5K concurrent viewers a stream. That nigga never streamed before, and the reason he never streamed, he couldn't really stream like that, is because one, he's a horrible speaker. He has a stutter that he can't really control. He's terrible expressing himself live. He has to cut it a bunch of times. He's a yapper. He's not a good live streamer. But when you when you appeal or pander to a certain type of people, especially that community, they don't really care about none of that. They don't really care if you're making valid points or not. As long as you're pandering towards them, they'll watch. They like it. So that's a perfect community for Flacco to pander to. He's probably realized it, but he'll realize after he's already realized, but he'll realize if he continues to go that route, uh, there's a lot of trouble that's going to come from that, especially from someone who talks as much shit as Flacco and does as much finger wagging as Flacco. You know, they love to. You're the type of person they love to see go down the most in this internet sphere where we're dealing with people who try to sit there and act like they have some type of high moral high ground, because now people who you've been appealing to, they want to sit there and finger whack too. They have a certain type of morality system that they're going to hold you to now. And the second you make a mistake, guess what? You're going to end up just like the people you're criticizing, man. But I think that's where we're going to end it. I think I've made my point that this man is a grifter. This man was in here promoting gambling with not on his. He was promoting gambling on the weather. Like No shit. He used to have this ad where you sit there and say he gamble on the weather every single day. That's diabolical. That's a diabolical ad to do, nigga. I mean, I don't really care. Like, if as long as they're not, you know, they're not promoting gambling, or a kid can't get on their shit and gamble or whatever. I don't really care that much, to be honest. Again, I'm not going to do no moral finger wagging like Flacco would not, and be like, oh no, how dare you promote gambling? This is an addiction. This is, I don't care. People are going to dose. They can, if they want to sit there and participate in something stupid like that, be my guest. Like, nigga, I don't really care. I just bring it up to point out the fact that he is 100% a grifter. What he does is grift. What he does is all about money. He has no morals or whatnot. Again, if he did, why won't he sit there and burn his bridge with Adam 22? If you're really about that pro black shit, he won't, because he's not an idiot. He knows that uh, send trying to pivot to the uh pro black people and pander to them isn't worth him burning his bridge with someone who actually has clout and connections, you know? Wasn't Flacco like interviewing Kai Cenat, asking Kai Cenat questions at No Jumper just because he worked there? Just because you work there, you able to be in proximity to Kai Cenat? Like, nigga, he be dumb as hell. He's not going to burn his bridge with DJ Academics either. Someone who pro black people also hate. So what are we saying? Like, nigga, if I'm for me to sit there and say that Flacco's really about what he's about or cares, I would have to see those two things. I would need him to burn his bridge with Adam 22 and DJ Academics, but he won't, nigga. Like, and he had sitting there and covering Chud the Builder and covering this Nolan Wells case doesn't make you pro black. It doesn't sit there. You're not doing anything for black people. You're not a net positive. You're just making content. Like, it is what it is. I have no problem with that. Make your content. I mean, maybe sitting there making content and milking a situation where a black boy died or whatnot, maybe not morally the best, but again, like I keep saying, not here to morally finger wag at people. But hey, if that's what you want to do, fine. Don't sit there and act like you're on this mission to end white supremacy and call white supremacists out. You're on a mission to make money. Stop it. 100 videos, 50 streams. Like, every day it seems like there's a Nolan Wells video or a Nolan Wells stream. Like, come on, nigga. Like, there can't be that many stuff happening in regards to this case every single day. Stop it. Keep in mind, bro, Big Bro was cool with Myron Gaines. I don't know where their relationship stands at now, but at point Myron Gaines was in Flacco's comment section. Flacco was laughing at his comments in regards to, like, I forget what the video was about. I believe it's like some Netanyahu or Israel Palestine kind of video about, I don't know. I can't. I think it was the Milk Boys. He did a video on the Milk Boys and that situation and whatnot. Flacco was cool with the fresh guy, the other one that isn't Myron or whatnot. And yeah, he's made a lot of videos about them people. But again, that's not about like actual beliefs or actually like I'm actually offended or whatever. It's about clout. And once you realize that it is what it's about money. It's about doing whatever. It's like, if he makes a video on these niggas, because he needs the video to be made, or it's drama that needs to be milked or whatnot. That's it. Like, there's no police, and that's fine, bro. You get on the internet, you don't have to sit here and stand for something on the internet. You don't have to involve yourself in some type of moral crusade, but stop acting like you are then. Stop trying to act like you're this thought leader or whatnot. Like, you'll never be a thought leader. You're not smart enough you're not smart enough for any of that. Real shit. You're not that guy. You're not a moral individual. It's the type of nigga who would sit there and tweet about how criticizing Kai Cenat Streamer University for having a bunch of OnlyFans people while paying 25K for the box. Like, come on, bro. There's no consistency because there's no actual beliefs there. This guy just has whatever he wants. He's just a professional yapper.
I didn't cover Chud for a grift. I covered Chud because I thought what he was doing was wrong.
You thought what he was doing was wrong. So you thought him walking up to black people, antagonizing black people and calling them the N-word was wrong.
Yeah.
Again, I just have to question, Why is it
I
wrong for
understand.
Chud the Builder to do that, but you being in a studio with white people saying the N-word is okay?
Again, man,